Hi guys, Michael here from iPlumb Leeds. Today we are at Ravenheat Manufacturing, which is also in Leeds, and it happens to be in our hometown Morley. And what I thought I'd show you guys is what goes into their boilers. So I'll quickly go through the components, what's in there. They're all quality components, and as you can see they're all housed in brass as well, which we like to see. And if you click on the links below, I'll explain what each component does separately and how it works. So, in your boiler, you've got a pump, which you can see there at the back. That's the big one. This is your diverter motor, or your diverter head. That goes into your diverter valve, which is this, which sits in the diverter housing. This is your pressure switch, which is on there, or your pressure sensor. That senses if you've got pressure in your boiler. This here is your cold water turbine, which I'll unscrew that. So cold water goes in, spins the turbine, turns on the switch, turns on your boiler. At the back there is your plate to plate heat exchanger, and like I say, I'll do a separate video on the links below, and all of them I'll explain what they all do. And that is your safety relief valve, or your pressure safety relief valve. So if you want to know a little bit more about them, or if you want to know anything about your boiler, if you've got any faults with it, or you need any help, don't forget to give us a call. Michael from iPlumb Leeds. This we'll start off with is your diverter valve, diverter head. How this works is it sends an electric signal which pushes a pin in and out. When you call for hot water, the pin will push out, and when you call for central heating, the pin will push in. What that does is it pushes into the diverter valve itself, and that's the diverter valve. So it pushes a pin in, and that goes in and out on this diverter valve. That will let through either water to your plate to plate heat exchanger, or it will let water go through straight to your radiators. So put that in there. This little device here, this is a pressure sensor, or a pressure switch should we say. Basically, your boiler needs a certain amount of water in it for it to turn on. My example to customers is you wouldn't turn your kettle on with no water in, because it'd break your kettle. So your boiler has to have a minimum of, some boilers is 0.5 bar of water, some it's 1 bar of water. Once your boiler's got 1 bar of water in, this sends a little signal to the main board to say, right, the boiler is okay to turn on. So the diverter valve we've covered, the switch we've covered. So sometimes in your boiler, for example, if your boiler's not working and you've turned your pressure up, and you've turned it up to 1 bar, 1.5 bar, 2 bar, 2.5 bar, and it still hasn't turned on, chances are it might be this. It might be your pressure sensor or switch. Sometimes they can get blocked up with sludge, for a better word. Anyway, I digress. On here, you've got your cold water turbine. Cold water comes into your boiler, goes into your turbine holder, and it spins a turbine in there. This turbine, when it spins, you're opening your tap, your water's coming out, it spins your turbine, there's a little switch and a sensor there. This is called a Hall sensor, and that knows when that magnet's turning and a light comes on. That then sends a signal to your boiler to say, someone wants hot water, turn on the flames, turn on the power, turn on the heat. That's what that does. Your plate heat exchanger at the back, which I'll show you, basically is a very, very fast way of transferring hot water, heating water to hot water. So the best way to describe it is, you've got your boiler and your radiators. You ask for your radiators to come on, your boiler fires up, it sends water to your radiators and back to your boiler, and it does that all the time. Now you ask for hot water, and what it does inside the boiler itself is it makes a little switch, and it just warms up, we'll call it like a tiny radiator inside your boiler, and that tiny radiator is getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and cold water fresh cold water just passes around that tiny radiator inside, which is called a plate-to-plate heat exchanger, and then comes out. And that the heat transfer on that is so good that by the time cold water goes up and past the tiny radiator inside, plate-to-plate heat exchanger, it comes out hot. That's the best way to describe it for me. Some people might say it's not technically correct or whatever, but in layman's terms, that's how I'd describe it. That's your plate-to-plate heat exchanger. On there as well, what else we've got? Oh, you've got your pump. Your pump, it is what it is. It pumps water around, so it pumps water either from your boiler to your radiators, or when it makes the diverter switch, which we've explained there, diverter will make the switch inside and it'll pump it to the plate-to-plate heat exchanger inside. So the heat exchanger is the main part of the boiler really, it's like your engine. So I'll start off by showing you, I think, this one. So this heat exchanger, basically, the flames from your gas burner would fire down into the top of this heat exchanger, and in the waterways, this is where your water would extract that heat from the flames. So, for example, when you call for your central heating to come on, the flames would fire, they would warm up the top of this aluminium, the water would pass through the heat exchanger and go to your radiators. So it works in a cycle, there'll be one flow and one return, and it'll go through, and that's how it gets hot. This is an aluminium heat exchanger. The older versions was copper, so back in the day when it was non-condensing boilers, you'd have a copper heat exchanger. Copper heat exchangers, really good, really good at transferring heat, but due to condensing boilers now, condensation in the boilers, condensing is acidic, so we can't use these as much as we'd like to nowadays, so we now use stainless steel and aluminium, which gets me onto this heat exchanger. So you'll see the difference. This is aluminium. It's a lot lighter, a lot easier to manufacture in some cases, because you can make it tiny aluminium, and this is the stainless steel one, so you'll see the difference. Whoa, that's stainless steel. It's trickier to manufacture stainless steel. Obviously it's harder to cast it, or to die cast it, should we say, but the benefits of that are it does not corrode. Stainless steel does not corrode. So good boiler manufacturers like Ravenheat, which is here in Leeds, they like stainless steel boilers. They do versions that are aluminium as well, but they do like their stainless steel versions. And this works on the same principle as the other boilers. Basically, you turn on for your central heating, water goes in, it goes round the coils, the flame fires in the middle, and by the time it comes out, it's nice and hot going to your radiators. So I've tried my best to explain all the parts on the boilers. Obviously some people might pick me up on little bits and pieces and say that's not quite correct, or that's not the right terminology or whatever, but I hope it's helped some of you guys out. And if you ever need any help in Leeds or surrounding areas with any gas appliances, we're here for you. Michael at iPlumb Leeds, and Ravenheat's been here for over 30 years helping people out as well. So if you ever need anybody, give us a call. Michael, iPlumb Leeds, and thanks for watching. Cheers guys.